Welcome back, everybody. March 24th, 2022, and it's great to be with you once again over on the YouTubes and all the good stuff. Thank you for being here. I love doing this type of show, so we're going to be rocking and rolling real quick. We're doing some adjustments real here. Turn that down. My microphone is screaming. My head is cut off. Let's go up just a little bit. There we go. Oh man, what a week it has been. It feels like forever since we did weekly comics number 6 here, or just in general weekly comics. So we're just getting the word out on Insta and Twitter and all that good stuff. And we're just retweeting things live now, and we're doing all the good stuff, and that's about as light as the promotion as I'm going to get, because I want to get started, and we're gonna get started almost right away. Right here we go. Let's just do a double check. We've got our comics, we've got our stuff. So before we get there, as always, if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for doing that. Make sure you like and make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications on YouTube so you can see where we go. We're on week 6 of 13, so we're planning on doing the comics up until the play of Kenobi, which is happening May 25th. We're going to turn the key light on so I get a little bit more light in front of my face. If you're hearing some bangs and some clangs, that's the dryer going off. Just ignore those bangs and those clangs, and everything will be good. If you hear buzzes, that's because I'm in a group text, and my family loves group texting and all that good stuff. Big shout out to the Florida Panthers tonight for getting their first victory with Claude Giroux. I believe last week we were talking about how Claude Giroux of the Philadelphia Flyers may be traded, and he was traded, to the Florida Panthers, and he got 2 assists tonight. I was pretty proud of him. It actually had me get in on the Disney bundle of ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus and all that good stuff. So for an extra $10, we can watch all sorts of different sports now. So yeah, we like Star Wars and we like sports, and life is good. So last week we covered IDW number 6 through 10. IDW 6 through 10, and that got us through part 2. We do have 11 and 12 in the chamber, but we're not going to be talking about that tonight. Some commercials real quick. So if you do follow the YouTube channel, you know that we have been dropping a comic recap every day at 8 o'clock for the past 10 days, and it's just this live video chopped up into smaller chunks. So again, if you don't get a chance to catch the live show, you can at least get the gist of the stories as we, move forward. So that's really what we're doing here. So I gotta I have to break down all the 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And that should be all gravy. Big shout out to, yes sir, I am in uniform. This is my shop shirt for the school that I work at. Shout out to school. And this is the best advice I can give you if you do have tech support issues, is literally just please email me. If you stop me in the hallway, it's not going to do anything for you. Problem will not get solved in the hallway, but it will get solved if I get a chance to think about it in the cave in which I call the office. So thanks for coming on out as always. This one should be pretty short and sweet. We only have 5 comics to go through tonight. We'll do some nice introductions, and then we'll start flying on through the stream, of course. Sponsored, as always, by the Red 5 Network. Go to bio.link/Red5 for all the wonderful things. We've had a few additions in there now that I'm thinking I have to update the links. My bad. Been super duper busy this week, so I got to catch up on all my little tasks that I have to do. And then later on down tonight, we may jump on over to Twitch and play a little Fortnite, because they took away building, and it's just been a hoot of a time, and I've got a nice video in the works in my Adobe Premiere right now that will be coming out, and I find it's funny because I'm terrible at the game. Well, I'm not that bad at the game, but it's funny when I lose because it's bad when I lose, so it's all good stuff. Yes, Scarif, please email me all your tech requests because that's my checklist is the email, and everything else doesn't mean anything. So anyway, it is time to get started in our journey. So let's get to it. Welcome to Extra Star Wars. Over the next 100 days, and before the Kenobi series debuts, Extra Star Wars is going to tackle the comics. The comics are a hard medium to keep up on as they're constantly in motion, crossing over between storylines and branching off into a multiverse of madness. Journey with me as we learn some of the details you'll never see on any screen, learn some ridiculous Easter eggs, and help me understand more of this Star Wars galaxy. Extra Star Wars presents Weekly Comics. And we are here in Weekly Comics number 6. I really love that intro. It just really sets the table for the comic show, as they would say. So let me pull up StreamYard on the top screen. Let me prepare the document on the bottom screen so we can read from it, and we'll be doing the whole thing. So we are going to be doing this sub-series. We're continuing in the High Republic realm. This is a sub-series of the High Republic with small crossovers, of course, in between the stories that we've been talking about. There is one more subset of High Republic that we'll be talking about next week, and then we'll be moving on into our main Star Wars series. Now, if you've been following me on Instagram, I've been posting 2 comics a day, and, you know, you get into this monotonous posting, and I use, like a scheduler to do those. I don't actually post on my prefabricate. We're gonna start over. I schedule out all my posts. That way I don't have to actually do it on the time of. And I was doing 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And then I looked, I often check. So a couple of them didn't go out for whatever reason, so I'm looking back. And it's like, failed to post. I'm like, okay, there's no problem. And I check out, it's supposed to be number 19, and it's actually number 20. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Well, it turns out that I'm just missing number 18. So, I don't know what happened. Either my comic book guy missed that, or I missed it, or I don't know. So, I actually have to get Star Wars number 18, but we've got a few weeks to actually get caught up on that because, again, we're in week 6. We're going to get to week 13. After week 13, that'll actually jump us right into Kenobi the following week, and, you know, life's good. So, thank you for joining me on the live show. I repeat one more time that the live show does get chunked out and will be posted individually over on this YouTube channel. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. So let's take a look at what we are going to be covering today. So this is called Star Wars The High Republic Trail of Shadows, and it's only 5 issues long. It is a start to finish arc. It was coming out concurrently with the High Republic. I think probably started at number 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, something like that. And just follows a couple characters that don't really have much mention in the main stories, but have a lot of mention in this. And then, of course, there's a couple crossovers, which will be, you know, helpful in placing this series where it needs to be. So let's get it out of the bag and let's get started. Let's pull the microphone over here. I switched up a little bit of my my workstation, so I have to move some cameras here. I put some new strip lighting down. So, okay, I can grab myself right here. Yuck! Okay. Trail of Shadows, number 1, The High Republic. No introduction. So we don't really know where this is starting, so I had to piece this together after I read it. He's not having a good time. Chapter 1 is called Trail of Shadows. So it opens with Loden Greatstorm. So, by the way, big time spoiler alerts if you really haven't read any of the High Republic. But if you have, well, here we go. Loden Greatstorm, Jedi mentioned in Light of the Jedi. This is the Battle of Grizal. This is the end of Light of the Jedi. And it starts off with these words in the bottom right-hand corner that says, "We're going to take you away," in like a little song format, lyric-y thing. So, Loden Greatstorm, not in good shape. The Battle of Grizal. So we've got Stellan, we've got Endear. This is either Stellan or Elzar. I forget which is which. They both look exactly the same. This is Bel Zettifar. That's the Padawan of Loden. And he just husks and dusts himself, and it's no good. And this is how we get introduced to Emmerich. Okay, Emmerich right here. He's investigating. He's looking at the particles of what was Loden Greatstorm. It is now dust, and he's like, "Whoa, what is happening here? Let's find out." So they are trying. So a Jedi has been killed. They have turned to dust. They're trying to figure out what the heck happened here through science and investigation. So we find out that Emmerich is an investigator who is being sent to see what is happening to the Jedi, and there's lots of names that are just going to connect us to the main High Republic storyline, as I mentioned before, like Bel and Vernestra Rowe and Stellan, Zettifar, things like that. You may not know them if you haven't been keeping up with it. It's not really a big deal. It's really one of those Easter eggy things that if you know them, it's awesome because you make the connections. If you don't know them, it's no big deal. You can still read this story. So we continue on and we head to the Vaba Bank's Midnight Den level 1347, which is like a little bar. So it's Coruscant. We meet Sion or Sion, not really sure how to pronounce her name. Probably Sion, I'm going to go with. That's this lady in the red. We meet Kefar Branto, Urk Panga. Just like a bar scene, you know, a little bit shady action. Sion seems to be sort of like involved somehow in some shady stuff. And we end up finding out that she doesn't really trust anybody. She puts a tracker on this person she's trying to find out about. And then we somehow, you know, get involved with Emmerich and what he's calling Q2, this little droidy guy, which is actually just like a BD droid, so like a BD1 sort of droid. He's called Q2, so he's a QD for sure. They sort of discover that song is like a nursery rhyme from some sort of past trauma that they had. And it basically is something with fear. We're coming to take you away. It's very interesting because in the old days of the young Padawans, right, they're taken away from their family, and this, what they're remembering is like this, I guess, master would sing this nursery rhyme of "we're coming for you and we're going to take you away," and like that's kind of scary, you know. This is the Jedi we're talking about, who are supposed to be like this, like all good and powerful being, and this just says fear, you know. Like all I remember with this nursery rhyme is fear, and that's pretty wild. So, anywho's, fast forward a little bit. Sion is trying to keep her friend Kefar from falling into, like, the wrong people or whatever, and Kefar ends up getting shot. Emmerich gets called by Stellan. He's with troopers to sort of get this investigation going. Turns out that this dude is a pretty bad dude, and he's going to be involved throughout the 5-story arc, so we get a little bit of an introduction to, I think his name is Fal, F-A-L here. All right. Emmerich is led to Vrant Tarnum, okay, and Vrant Tarnum is where Marchion Ro was to get what they call the Leveler, And the leveler is the weapon in Light of the Jedi that creates this hallucinogen fear that killed Loden Greatstorm. So they're sort of on the trail of where they need to go. They find some resistance there, and they have like an all-out battle. The song is playing. The Nile are there. Sion and Kiefer are running from Fal. Kiefer ends up dying. Sion shoots this dude in the face and survives. Emmerich wins his battle, gets into the cave. They're sort of investigating what is going on. And Sion is knocked out. Emmerich is pretty shocked because whatever's in this temple is causing him great trauma. Okay? It's causing him great trauma. And then what's the crazy part is that the nursery rhyme that he is remembering from these attacks are scribed in this cave. And he's like, oh damn, something's going down. And that is sort of how this issue ends. And of course, this came out in October, so then the next one comes out in November of 21, written by Daniel Jose Older, David Watcher, and cover by David Lopez. Oh look, Cap. All right, so there you go. That's number 1. Welcome on in to Mr. Dave. Dave. What a question. Have you seen the new Lego Star Wars diorama sets? You bet your ass I've seen those new sets. You've got the Death Star attack trench run, which I'm very interested in. You've got the trash compactor scene, which I'm not interested in. And then you've got the Dagobah training scene, which I'm not interested in. But all three look really great. They look great for display. And I'm sad that I have made a pact with myself to not purchase any Lego until I build Lego. So I really like what they're doing. That's like an adult's dream. So that's really awesome. Thank you for mentioning that. Let's keep on going. Chapter 2. I agree. Chapter 2, Trail of Shadows. Way down deep in the dark. During a Republic raid on a Nile outpost, some unseen entity turned one Jedi to dust and left another in a state of catatonic shock. Now lead investigator Emmerich Kafter is on the case. So, weeks and months have passed since the Loden Greatstorm attack. Emmerich is sort of stuck in his investigation. He's trying to figure out. Meanwhile, since Sion survived her little attack, she's kind of just been down and out on her luck. So they sort of have this parallel thing that's going on. And they both get contacted by like the same droid saying that the Chancellor would like to see them. Oh no, we find out that Emmerich really is, you know, for weeks and months have been investigating this mysterious nature of what's happening to Force users. Has no answers. The Chancellor brings in her secret investigator, Sion. Yeah, she's a detective, apparently. And they are now tasked to work together. So Emmerich updates the office. Sion and Emmerich have a connection as Sion's partner Kiefer was killed by the person, Fal, who may be looking to purchase a serious weapon on the black market for the Nile. Okay, so this weapon could potentially be the thing that's killing the Jedi. Another operative checks in, right? Another operative in terms of who he wants to sell to. This dude, this Neomodian, I think that's what they're called, a.k.a. The Inquisitor. That doesn't look like the Inquisitor in Kenobi. Who cares? Arathab Fal, who killed Kiefer, is talking with the possible buyer, who asks questions, and then the Nile sort of come in. Oh boy. Emmerich and Sion are now traveling to the Vorzid sector. Sion is very forward while Emmerich is very laid back. Sion chit-chats and Emmerich changes his clothes so he doesn't look like a Jedi. And she's like, hey, you're looking pretty nice there, buddy. Fal seems to be in trouble. Emmerich and Sion enter the crime scene here, and they start doing like this Dexter analysis of it all, which is kind of cool because they're both sort of detectives. Fal is fighting back hard against the Nile. The Nile throw a gas canister as they usually do. At the same time, Scion and Emmerich show up on the same scene. Emmerich is pushing the gas away. Scion is blasting the Nile with no problem. They follow Fal to a secret place and queue up Stellan. Right? They queue up Stellan. Let me just get my place. Who seems to be the only person they can trust. We have this Chandra fan here. He's calling Stellan here. Do they find what they're looking for? Q2 is spying on them, so it's Fal and this little creature working together. I don't know. We'll just have to find out in the next issue. On sale, 12/15/21. So Trail of Shadows starting to enter into the mysterious realm of what's been happening to the Jedi. Scion and Emmerich working together. Fal and this Chandra Fa, or whatever they're pronounced, seem to be working together to purchase a serious weapon on the black market. Ooh, very fun. Issue number 3 is called Cold Comfort. Jedi Master Emmerich Kafter and Republic private investigator Sion Holt have been paired to uncover the truth behind the unusual murder of a Jedi. Emmerich and Sion narrowly escaped an encounter with the Nile and the mysterious figure Arathab Fal, which impeded their investigation. Now they must race to piece together the few scraps of information they've uncovered before another Jedi is killed. Lots of words here, lots of great discussion and dialogue. Again, I'm not going to read it to you. I always recommend going to your local comic book store and handling your business. So Sion and Emmerich race to find information. Sion and Stellan and Emmerich chat theories. They may be thinking it's an inside job, like inside the Chancellor's office. We find out from Marchion Ro that it is Dr. Uttersond. And in the books, Dr. Uttersond, who's this dude, is keeping Mari Senteca alive. And Mari Senteca is responsible for the hyperspace lanes and the path engine and basically all of the Nile attacks. So it's a very interesting connection. For me, this was kind of cool because I've heard of Uttersond, but I didn't really put a name to the face. And now I was able to put a name to the face, and it's like a little rat creature, so that's fine. Marchion Ro has Uttersond spied on as he does not trust him. He feels that something is going on. We go to the Midnight Den. Sion sings the lullaby that is plaguing Emmerich and Stellan as sort of a joke. Emmerich and Stellan chit-chat at the bar. And I've read this down that Dalna is mentioned, and that something about info on the archives being deleted. So I found that to be pretty cool. I don't know if it's just like a small detail that they wanted to throw in, but it reminded me of when Kenobi was looking for something, and what's-her-face, Jocasta Nu, was like, if it's not in the archives, then it just clearly doesn't exist. So a little bit of that action going on here, so that's a nice connection. Avar Chris calls Stellan. There's been another attack. And then that attack, you'll see where it connects in just a moment. Here we go. We got Uttersond, the Nile come in, and they're like, what are you doing, dude? And he's like, I'm not doing anything. Like, trying to play it off cool, and then all of a sudden, alarms start to blare. We transport to Starlight Beacon, and this is where this comic connects us with the High Republic comic. Probably midway through when Tarek and Seret have their encounter with the creatures and Kiev. They go undercover underneath the Nile to find out, I guess, where Lorna D was going. And they encounter one of these force-sucking creatures. And Tarek and Seret have a bad time with it. And that's kind of where this part of the story happens. Kiev Trennis, of course, makes an appearance. And she was our main character in the regular Star Wars High Republic, which you can find over on the YouTube channel. If you look at the High Republic playlist, you can find all of those there, or go back in the lives and check those out. Back to the Nile. The Nile preparing to be boarded, and then just like you think he wasn't coming, boom, there is Fal. And we know from before that Fal and Uttersond are working together, but Uttersond seems scared, so what's actually going on, we do not know. Look, an ad for the Galactic Star Cruiser. Make sure you purchase your room for 6 million credits. Starlight Beacon. Stellan, Emmerich, and Sion are chatting. They're trying to figure it all out. They, Sion's like, I don't understand. Like, what is it? Some sort of a hallucination? What's going on? And Stellan's like, I was there on Grizzle. It wasn't a hallucination. Something is affecting us. And she's like, whoa, my bad. I didn't really mean to offend you. Ram Jamaram sort of shows up. He's from Valo. So this is now post-Valo attack. Again, just putting us into the timeline a little bit. Ram Jamaram also shows up in the IDW High Republic series adventures, which again can be found on YouTube. Stellan apologizes, and Avar Chris shows up, and Sion and Emmerich sort of leave them be to talk. We go back to Uttersond. Fal attacks the Nile, and we finally figure out that Uttersond is working alongside Fal, but the spider ship of the Nile show up, and this is the same spider ship that shows up in IDW number 1, if you remember making that connection. Back to Starlight Beacon, we have a lot of the characters from the IDW series here. By the way, the author of this also wrote the IDW series, so that makes sense why there would be those connections. Padawans and Buckets of Blood are there. They're having a good time. Emmerich and Sion are just walking around Starlight Beacon. Normal things are sort of happening. The Nile investigate, and Uttersond is hurt. Right? They're setting the Fal, and Uttersond are setting this up, so Uttersond is hurt. And Ro commands him to be alive, because Martian's like, I'm not really sure what's going on, but if we kill him, we're never going to know what's actually going on. And then I'm back on Starlight Beacon. This is only issue number 3, but Emmerich and Sion have like this weird close moment, even though like we found out in issue 1 that she doesn't trust anybody, and Emmerich is sort of closed off because he's the investigator. But they have this weird close moment, and I just find it weird. I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't feeling it. I was not feeling it. But this issue, look, it doesn't even tell us a date this time. It just says on sale in January. Guess we'll have to find out. On sale in January. But that leaves us at the end of Chapter 3. Not Chapter 3, issue number 3. So the plot thickens. We've got 2 different plot lines going on. We've got Emmerich and Sion, and they are attempting to investigate. We've got Fal and Uttersond, and they're sort of working together for something. So it's like the Nile are against Fal and Uttersond. Emmerich and Sion are trying to figure out what's been happening. It's weaving itself inside the story of what we've already read. So now we're going to start to see things heat up as we get to number 4. Issue number 4 comes in hot. It's called Trail of Shadows. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, which I love that. As danger and dead ends mount in Sion and Emmerich's investigation, they find themselves quickly running out of options. Meanwhile, the conspirators prepare one more desperate attempt to secure their prize from the Nile. Time is running out. Oh, we get a little family time here. So conspirators are getting closer to purchasing the weapon. Emmerich and Sion are running out of time. Uttersond opens. He's had enough of the Nile. That's probably why he's working with Fal. We get introduced to a character called Besar, who is this character right now, hiding in the shadows. Besar turns out to be a Republic spy. She was the partner to T-Mank, who died at the Battle of Kur, which happens at the end of Light of the Jedi. She's keeping an eye on Uttersond. She tries to place a tracker on his ship. It does not stick, and she ends up inside his ship as he was visiting family. We cut to Emmerich relaxing and Sion playing the piano. Again, strange. Did they have relations? I don't know. The end of the last issue kind of leaves it vague. Emmerich's sort of frustrated that things aren't happening as quickly as he would like, and Scion, like, teaches him this lesson, like, well, my father always said that if you tried to water a seed too many times, you just have to let the galaxy do its work, and coincidentally, boom, Q2's like, hey, we have a lead on Utterson, let's go. Back to Utterson, who's contacting Fal, right? The Nile, who's spying on Utterson from Marchion Row, is like, what are you doing? We hope that this next mission does not go sideways, right? We don't want this thing to go sideways. Besar is there. We cut to Emmerich. He's got his squadron of fighters and troopers there. They're approaching the Nile, and look at that. The Nile are engaged. Emmerich and Scion are going after the cargo ship that the tracker is on, that Besar put. Okay. Back on the ship, it's getting attacked. Utterson takes advantage and blasts the Nile away. And this is very, very brutal. He goes, I'm tired of waiting. No, please, no. Tired of Nile. Tired of Jedi. Tired of being bossed around and called rodent. I'm a doctor, damn it! And he's just very angry. I help people. Besar's like, oh damn, this is not the person that I used to know. And that guy is super duper dead. Emmerich comes into play. But you might notice that Utterson opens up this little hatch right here, and immediately Emmerich is affected by whatever is happening with the Jedi, the hallucinations, and there it is. Shriek, kara, kara, whatever it is. Master Emmerich, who are you? And he's like, what is happening to me? I'm hallucinating. I can't do anything. My head hurts really hard. Of course, the creatures are doing the work. So it appears to be a creature of some sort. Very interesting. Well, Besar picks up the gun and sets it to stun, and Utterson is concerned. And then all of a sudden, Fal shows up. Besar shoots, knocking out Utterson. And Fal's like, well, that's not going to really affect me. And now you are going to die. And he goes to lift up his weapon and strike her down and gets his arm cut off by Scion, who shows up and takes Emmerich's lightsaber. Besar's like, you should probably close that hatch because that's what's affecting him. They find out a little bit about her, why she's there. And I love this line because they ask her, they said, hey, do you know how to pilot a ship? And she's like, I mean, my wife taught me how to do some things and I'm not sure. And then she pauses and goes, I'll do whatever it takes. And that links us back to the title, which is just wonderful. And I wrote down Besar steps up. So back into space, Emmerich is in recovery. Besar is piloting the ship. Scion asks for an update. Where are we? And they come upon Starlight Beacon, which is just on fire. So now the story in issue 4 takes us right smack dab in the middle of Fallen Star, the third adult novel in the High Republic series. That's how issue number 4 ends here, which is just kind of fantastic for sure. It's getting there. Will Emmerich survive this? Oh, and of course they captured Fal. His arm was cut off. I guess he's wounded. They capture Utterson. Utterson is on the ship with them, just knocked out at this point. Chapter 5, the final issue in this little arc here. It's called Chapter 5, Dust. That's never a good thing. Jedi Master Emmerich, after following leads for the murder of a Jedi, has fallen under the effects of the nameless creature that causes unimaginable pain to the Order. While Emmerich was down, Dr. Utterson's partner in crime, Arathab Fal, tried to strike down 33A Shadra fan named Besar, who was protecting Emmerich. Sion Holt stepped in, wielding Emmerich's saber to save both Emmerich and Besar from Arathab. It seems that everything has come crashing down around Emmerich and Sion, everything including the Starlight Beacon. So fast and furious with this. It opens with Emmerich's vision of the Force-sucking creature. Utterson, in the next scenes, you know, he sort of recovers. They're like, oh my god, I'm so happy you're back. Utterson is back up and alive. He is questioned. He tries to prove tough, but Beeser is like, listen, buddy, you've got family back where you live. You're not as tough as you think. You need to tell us everything that's going on. So in so many words, I'm actually going to read this. The parchment, so they had a parchment that they got from the cave that had all the inscriptions on it from an earlier issue. Here's what we're dealing with. Again, this is a major spoiler alert to the Path of the Jedi, or excuse me, the Light of the Jedi, which is the first part of this entire series. You know, this whole mystery of what's affecting the Jedi is what the story has been leading to at least part 2. So if you don't want to listen to it, then I would knock it out now, like the video, come back later. If not, here we go. So, more or less, they're trying to sell this weapon. Some call these creatures the Shri Karai, eaters of the Force. To others, they are simply called the Nameless. Their mere presence causes madness, hallucinations in Force users. I haven't figured out how yet. And the only way to control them is an ancient artifact that was split into 2 pieces. The eye has both parts, and that's how blah, 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 blah. So in the book, it's called The Leveler. In the IDW series, if you remember Tromac, Marchion Ro asks him for the location of the cave, and that's how he puts the thing together, and that's how Loden Greatstorm is kind of killed. So the creatures who affect the Force are called the Nameless. Utterson reveals some key details. We find out that Starlight Beacon is breaking apart, which is actually, you know, it's literally breaking apart, so that puts us at nearing the end of Fallen Star. Scion and Emmerich decide to try to help those on Starlight Beacon by getting through. Another ad for the Galactic Star Cruiser. Lord help us. They crash their ship through a glass structure, and Scion and Emmerich make it onto Starlight Beacon. Buckets of Blood is there from the IDW series with a bunch of Padawans, and Court, who was wearing the mask before. It seems like Court injured one of the Nameless creatures. So Emmerich's like, well, if it's hurt, we might be able to gather some data. If we can gather some data, we can try to figure out what we need to do to fix this issue. So they enter into the mysterious cave. They start to, well, not cave, but hallway. They start to hear the nursery rhymes. They make a plan of what they want to do. Emmerich and Scion move forward. The Buckets of Blood and Padawan stay back. The hallucinations just start. They start to get worse. But Emmerich is fighting through it. He goes, there's nothing to be afraid about because this is just all in my head. Let's keep going. He told Q2 to start collecting data on just everything that is. And then, boom, we've got this claw. And he's like, listen, I know it's something. I just need you to describe it for me so I can have a better idea what it is. And she describes it as like long, gangly claws. It's definitely injured from Quart. Emmerich attempts to reach out with the Force. We've got some eyes here, so he's trying to make a connection with the creature. And it attacks Scion and Emmerich, and Buckets of Blood's like, whoa! And Quart's like, oh my gosh. And the two Shadrafans are like, whoa. And notice Utterson is grabbing on to this thermal detonator. So the Nameless attack, Scion shoots. Uh-oh, Stellan shows up. Just kidding, not Stellan, that's a hallucination. He cuts off one of the claws. Utterson's like, get the hell out of the way, I'm about to throw this thing. It then blows up the creature. The Nile show up. They're fighting back. Buckets of Blood is engaged. Quart is engaged. They're like, we got this. You get the heck out of here and take all the Padawans. And Emmerich's like, that explosion, it killed that creature. We don't have anything. And Scion's like, we don't have anything? Don't worry. I was able to capture this specimen piece. Buckets of Blood's like, listen, I got blood on this robe. You take the robe. Now I'm kind of naked. Okay, no problem. We're going to accept that. He seemingly goes in to battle the Nile. We don't really know what happens, but he does ask them to take the Padawans. And then we do find out that Court, who we know just lost his mask in the IDW series, was newly knighted as a Jedi Knight. So that's a pretty cool little thing, and maybe they'll get to that in the IDW series, but hey, whatever. We find it out. We find out that Utterson disappeared. Maybe he's dead. We're not really sure. Obviously, Besar, we're not really sure about because we don't see them at the end. Q2 is now starting the analysis. Emmerich doesn't have answers, but finally something's happening. But for the sake of the survival of the Jedi, it is up to Emmerich to figure out the mystery as Starlight Beacon breaks and burns up and starts to enter the atmosphere of that planet, and that is how Fallen Star ends. And this is how Trail of Shadows ends. We have a lead on the creatures, the nameless creatures, but we don't have any answers as of right now. And I have to say, I often hate side stories, but I enjoyed this one just because we get a little bit of insight of what's been happening to the Jedi. So that's number 5. Trail of Shadows, Starlight Beacon in the background here. Trail of Shadows, Foul in the background here. Number 3, Scion on stage. Number 2, bunch of things happening here, battling the Nile. And of course, the introduction of Emmerich and Scion. And that thus concludes our 5-issue arc. So as always, your attention and your wonderful interaction is always appreciated. We're hitting the 43-minute mark, which is the perfect amount of time when it comes to comics. So coming up in the next Weekly Comics number 7, we are going to be tackling the Monster of Temple Peak, or the Temple of Monster Peak, or whatever it is. It's a four comic arc, and it is High Republic, and it'll be our final High Republic run. That is a consecutive series until we just start filling in the gaps with several stories when we pick them up from the comic store. So that's it for tonight, everybody. Let's just beam on back to this little view. That way we can end our story with just a little bit of a FaceTime here. Thank you to Dave for chatting it up and making Lego the primary objective. The Death Star run is the cheapest and looks the best, in my opinion. I agree. The Stormtrooper helmet has been retired. Well, it's a good thing I have it, so that's a good thing. As always, you can follow Extra Star Wars on all of the socials. We're continuing our comics next week. Same time, same place. We'll see you there, everybody. Have a great day. And come on over on Twitch, because we're about to play some Fortnite later.